The Pure Warrior. Churchill, Patton, and the Art of Winning. December 9, 1945, London, England. The rain falls on Hyde Park as it has fallen on 1,000 English mornings, but this morning is different. Winston Churchill stands at the window of his study at 28 Hyde Park Gate, in his hand a telegram, black words on white paper, the kind of words that end things. General George S. Patton, Jr., is dead. Churchill reads the message again. A car accident, in Mannheim, Germany, 12 days after the collision, paralyzed from the neck down, gone at 60 years old. The old bulldog sets down his whiskey, unlit cigar in his mouth. He stares at nothing. They will say many things about him, Churchill mutters to himself. The profanity, the slapping, the political disasters. He turns from the window. But I will tell you what he was. Churchill picks up his pen, begins to write. He was a pure warrior, and pure warriors are the rarest thing in war. This is the story of how Winston Churchill recognized genius in its most dangerous form, how he defended the indefensible, how he understood that some men exist outside the rules, and that those men win wars. This is the story of the pure warrior. Section 1, The First Meeting. I knew immediately what he was. July 22, 1942, London, England, 10 Downing Street. The American officers file into the cabinet war rooms. General Dwight D. Eisenhower leads. Behind him, a tall figure in immaculate cavalry boots, jodhpurs, twin ivory-handled pistols on his hips. Major General George S. Patton, Jr., surveys the underground bunker with the eyes of a man assessing terrain. Churchill watches from across the room. He has read the files: West Point, Olympic pentathlete, cavalry commander in Mexico, tank pioneer in the Great War, now at 56 commanding the Western Task Force for Operation Torch, the invasion of North Africa. The Prime Minister approaches. General Patton. Prime Minister. Churchill looks at the pistols, at the riding crop tucked under Patton's arm, at the helmet with the oversized stars. You dress like a cavalryman from another century. Patton doesn't blink. I fight like one too. Churchill laughs, a genuine laugh, the kind he reserves for men he respects. They talk for 45 minutes, about tanks, about audacity, about the importance of speed in modern warfare. Churchill quotes Marlborough, Patton quotes Frederick the Great. They find common ground in Napoleon. Later, Churchill will write in his memoirs, I knew immediately what he was, not a modern general, a throwback, Alexander the Great in a Sherman tank, the kind of man who wins wars and loses peace but wins wars. The relationship begins. Section 2, North Africa. Let Patton loose. November 8, 1942, Fadala Beach, Morocco, 400 hours. The Western Task Force hits the beach in darkness. 35,000 American soldiers, 250 tanks, the largest amphibious operation in American history to that point. And it's going wrong. French Vichy forces are fighting back. Naval batteries at Casablanca engage the invasion fleet. Surf conditions scatter the landing craft. Units land miles from their objectives. In London, Churchill paces the map room. What news from Morocco? General Hastings Ismay, his chief military assistant, reads from the latest signals. Resistance heavier than expected. Landing schedules disrupted. General Patton reports chaos on the beaches. Churchill stops. What is Patton doing about it? A new signal arrives. Ismay reads it, pauses. Sir, General Patton has gone ashore personally. He is on the beach directing traffic, under fire. Churchill smiles. Of course he is. Patton spends the next 3 days everywhere at once, threatening, cajoling, occasionally drawing his pistol. When a naval officer suggests the landings might need to be suspended, Patton's response is unprintable. By November 11, Casablanca surrenders. The French cease resistance. Morocco is secured. Patton's first combat command in the Second World War, complete victory in 74 hours. Churchill sends a personal message. Your audacity has shortened the campaign by weeks. The pure warrior shows his mettle. Patton reads it, tucks it in his pocket, carries it for the rest of the war. Section 3, The Slapping Incidents. The Price of Genius. August 3, 1943, 15th Evacuation Hospital, Sicily, 1100 hours. General Patton tore the wounded from the Sicily campaign. He moves bed to bed, Purple Heart to Purple Heart, handshakes, encouragement. Then he stops at a soldier sitting on a box, no visible wounds. "What's wrong with you?" Private Charles H. Cool looks up. "I guess I just can't take it, sir." What happens next will nearly destroy Patton's career. He slaps the soldier, calls him a coward, orders him back to the front. The next week at another hospital, he does it again to Private Paul G. Bennett, a soldier suffering from malaria and combat fatigue. The story leaks, journalists know, Eisenhower knows, Washington knows. And Churchill knows. August 20, 1943, Quebec Conference, Canada. Churchill and Roosevelt meet to plan the next phase of the war. The Patton situation comes up. American newspapers are demanding courts-martial, congressional investigations, the generals head on a platter. Roosevelt is concerned, the political situation. Churchill interrupts, "Mr. President, may I speak plainly about General Patton?" Roosevelt nods. "He is impossible, he is vulgar, he is theatrical beyond all reason, and he is the best combat general your country has produced since Stonewall Jackson." Churchill lines forward. "The Germans are terrified of him, terrified. I have seen the intelligence. They believe he commands phantom armies. They plan their defenses based on where they think Patton might strike. Do you understand what that means?" He lets the question hang. "It means you cannot afford to lose him. Not now, not ever. Let him apologize. Let him be humiliated, but keep him in command, because when you invade Europe, you will need him." Roosevelt considers the press. "Damn the press, win the war." Eisenhower quietly buries the incident. Patton apologizes publicly to his troops. He is not court-martialed. He will command again. Section 4, The Deception. A force multiplier in invisibility. January-May 1944, Southeast England, FUSAG headquarters. The most important military formation in the Allied order of battle does not exist. 1st United States Army Group, FUSAG, supposedly 150,000 soldiers, hundreds of tanks, the invasion force that will hit Calais, the shortest crossing of the English Channel, the obvious point for the main Allied assault on Fortress Europe. It is all a lie. The tanks are rubber, inflatable, the radio traffic is fake, the headquarters building is a shell, but the commander is very, very real. General George S. Patton, Jr. Churchill insisted on it. "The Germans believe Patton is our best general," he told Eisenhower. "They expect him to command the main invasion. Let them believe it. Make Calais the obvious target, then strike at Normandy." Patton hates it. He writes in his diary, "I am being used as a decoy duck, a goddamn rubber duck." But he plays his role, makes speeches, tour fake installations, lets himself be photographed. German intelligence reports flood Berlin, Patton preparing for Calais assault, main invasion imminent. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, Commander-in-Chief West, keeps his reserves focused on the Pas-de-Calais, 15 precious panzer and infantry divisions, waiting for Patton. Waiting for an attack that will never come. D-Day arrives on June 6, 1944, Normandy. The Germans are caught off balance, and still they wait for Patton. For 6 weeks after the invasion, Hitler refuses to release the 15th Army from Calais. He is convinced Normandy is a feint. The real invasion, Patton's invasion, must still be coming. It never does. The deception works beyond all expectation. Tens of thousands of German soldiers sit idle while their comrades die in the hedgerows of Normandy. And Patton, he sits in England, raging, waiting. His time is coming. Section 5, Breakout. Now let Patton loose. August 1, 1944, Normandy, France, 600 hours. 3rd United States Army activates under the command of Lieutenant General George S. Patton, Jr. 6 weeks of grinding attrition in the Normandy bocage has bled both sides. The Germans have contained the Allied beachhead, but barely. The line is stretched thin. At Saint-Lô, Operation Cobra has finally punched a hole in the German defenses. American armored columns are pouring through. And now Patton has an army. Churchill is in London. General Ismay brings him the morning reports. 3rd Army activated, Prime Minister, General Patton in command. he is moving south toward Avranches. Churchill puts down his morning papers. Watch what happens now. What happens is blitzkrieg in reverse. August 1, Patton takes Avranches, the gateway to Brittany, to the Loire, to the heart of France. August 2, VII Corps drives into Brittany. August 3, XV Corps swings east, toward Le Mans. August 4, 20 miles. August 5, 30 miles. August 6, 40 miles. The German command in France receives report after report, each one more panicked than the last. American armored columns at Laval. American forces approaching Le Mans. Where is Patton? The answer, everywhere. Patton has unleashed a campaign of movement warfare unlike anything seen since the German conquest of France in 1940. But this time, the roles are reversed. Now the Germans are the ones overwhelmed, outmaneuvered, unable to react fast enough. Field Marshal Gunther von Kluge, now commanding in the West, sends a desperate message to Berlin. The enemy's exploitation of the breakthrough has been so rapid that it is no longer possible to establish a coherent front. Hitler's response, counterattack at Mortain, drive to the sea, cut off Patton's supply lines. It is exactly what the Allies want him to try. Section 6, the FALAISE pocket. Close the gap. August 7-21, 1944, Normandy-Falaise area. Hitler's Mortain counterattack begins on August 7, 5 panzer divisions driving west, toward Avranches, toward the sea. They gain 6 miles, then stop. American infantry holds, Allied aircraft slaughter the exposed German columns, and Patton, instead of retreating, does exactly what Churchill knew he would do. He attacks. Not westward, toward the threatened supply lines. Eastward toward Argenton, toward Falaise. If Third Army can link up with British and Canadian forces driving south from Caen, the German 7th Army and 5th Panzer Army will be trapped. 100,000 soldiers, hundreds of tanks, the entire German force in Normandy. The opportunity is extraordinary, the risk is enormous. August 13, 1944, 3rd Army Headquarters, Laval, France. Patton is on the phone with General Omar Bradley, commanding 12th Army Group. I'm at Argenton, let me close the gap. Bradley hesitates. The boundary between American and British Canadian forces runs through Falaise, inter-allied coordination, risk of friendly fire, political complications. Hold your position, don't cross the boundary. Patton explodes. Brad, we have the entire German army in Normandy in a goddamn bag. All we have to do is close the drawstring. Let me go to Falaise. We'll end this campaign in a week. Negative, hold at Argenton. That's an order. Patton slams down the phone. In London, Churchill receives the news. General Patton has been halted at Argenton, Prime Minister. General Bradley is concerned about boundary issues. Churchill stares at the map, the gap between Argenton and Falaise, 15 miles through which the German army might escape. Boundary issues, Churchill repeats, dear God. He picks up the phone, calls Eisenhower directly. Ike, close the gap, I don't care who does it, close the goddamn gap. But the decision has already been made. The cautious approach prevails. Patton holds at Argenton. For 6 days the gap remains open, 6 days during which 40,000 German soldiers escape eastward, 40,000 soldiers who will fight again, in the Siegfried Line, in the Ardennes, in the Rhineland. The Falaise pocket becomes a slaughter, but not the total annihilation it might have been. When the gap finally closes on August 21, 10,000 Germans are dead, 50,000 are prisoners, 567 tanks destroyed. But 40,000 got away. Patton never forgives Bradley, never forgives the caution, never forgives the lost opportunity. Neither does Churchill. Section 7, the race to the Rhine. Give me 400,000 gallons of gasoline. August 25, September 1, 1944, France. Paris falls, the Allies are sweeping across France. Victory seems imminent. The German army appears broken. Patton's Third Army is leading the charge, 400 miles in 26 days, fastest sustained advance in military history. And then it stops. Not from German resistance, but from lack of fuel. Third Army runs on gasoline, 400,000 gallons per day minimum, and the supply lines are stretched from Normandy, from Cherbourg, from beaches that are now 400 miles behind the front. Eisenhower must choose, supply Patton and push toward the Saar, or supply Montgomery and push toward the Ruhr. He chooses Montgomery. Third Army's fuel allotment is cut. The tanks roll to a halt. Patton watches the Germans retreat eastward and can do nothing. September 2, 1944, Chalon-sur-Marne, France, Third Army Headquarters. Patton receives the order, priority to Montgomery, Operation Market Garden, airborne assault on Arnhem, the bridge too far that will fail. Patton's response is legendary. My men can eat their belts, but my tanks have gotta have gas. He sends his own trucks to steal fuel from other units, liberates French gasoline reserves at gunpoint, keeps Third Army moving on fumes and willpower. But it isn't enough. The momentum is lost. The German army reorganizes. The West Wall, the Siegfried Line, is manned. Churchill watches from London. He has argued for supplying Patton, for the thrust toward the Saar, for exploiting the German collapse while it lasts. He is overruled. The war will continue for 8 more months. Churchill writes to Roosevelt, I fear we have missed an opportunity that may not come again. The pure warrior was within striking distance of victory. We held him back. Section 8, the Ardennes. The Germans have broken through. December 16, 1944, the Ardennes Forest, Belgium, 5:30 hours. Fog blankets the frozen forest, visibility 0. Along an 85-mile front, 200,000 German soldiers attack, 3 armies, 14 divisions, the last great offensive of the Third Reich. The Battle of the Bulge begins. American forces along the Ardennes are thin, rest areas, green divisions. They are overwhelmed in hours. By nightfall, the Germans have advanced 10 miles. Panic spreads, fuel depots fall, the road to the Meuse and beyond it, Antwerp, lies open. December 18, 1944, SHAEF Headquarters, Versailles. Eisenhower convenes an emergency meeting. The mood is grim. Maps show the German penetration deepening by the hour. Bastogne is surrounded. The 101st Airborne is trapped. We need to relieve Bastogne, Eisenhower says. Who can get there fastest? A voice from the back of the room. I can have 3 divisions on the road to Bastogne within 48 hours. Patton. The room goes quiet. Third Army is facing east, toward the Saar. 250,000 soldiers, thousands of tanks, all the logistics of a major offensive. Turning that force 90 degrees, in winter, in 48 hours, it seems impossible. Bradley speaks first. George, It's what I'm going to do, Patton cuts him off. My staff has already prepared 3 plans. A turn north of 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. All we need is the order. He looks at Eisenhower. Give me the order, Ikes. Churchill learns of this exchange within hours. He is electrified. 3 plans already prepared, he tells Ismay. The man anticipated the crisis before it happened. That is genius, pure genius. The order is given. Third Army begins its wheel north. Section 9, the impossible turn. Don't stop for anything. December 1926, 1944, Luxembourg to Bastogne. What Patton accomplishes in the next 7 days is studied in military academies to this day. 250,000 soldiers, 133,000 vehicles, millions of rounds of ammunition, all of it pivoting 90 degrees, in frozen conditions, on icy roads, under constant threat of German air attack. Patton's orders to his division commanders are characteristically direct. Don't stop for anything. If you run out of fuel, siphon it from captured vehicles. If you run out of ammunition, use captured ammunition. Just keep moving. I don't care about your flanks. The enemy doesn't have time to hit your flanks. Just go. December 21, 4th Armored Division crosses the Sauer River. December 22, laid elements reach the outskirts of the German penetration. December 23, the weather clears. Allied aircraft savage German supply lines. December 24, 4th Armored Division is 10 miles from Bastogne. December 25, Christmas Day, the relief force fights through 3 German blocking positions. December 26, 1656 hours, tanks of Combat Command Reserve, 4th Armored Division, break through to the 101st Airborne at Bostonia. Bostonia is relieved. Patton sends a message to his corps commanders. "We made it. Now let's kill some Germans." Churchill addresses the House of Commons. In the dark days just past, when the enemy achieved surprise and struck with all his strength, the American army performed a maneuver that will be studied for 100 years. General Patton turned an entire army in mid-stride and delivered the decisive counterattack. This is generalship of the highest order. The applause is thunderous. Section 10, Crossing the Rhine. I urinated in the Rhine. March 22, 1945, Oppenheim, Germany, 2200 hours. Third Army crosses the Rhine. Not at a major bridge, not with massive preparation, not with the elaborate planning of Operation Plunder, Montgomery's set-piece assault scheduled for March 24. Patton crosses first, 2 days early, because he sees an opportunity and takes it. 5th Infantry Division uses assault boats. By midnight, a bridgehead is established. By morning, pontoon bridges span the river. By the following day, 3rd Army is pouring into the German heartland. Patton walks onto the bridge. Halfway across, he stops and urinates into the Rhine. "I have been waiting to do this for a long time," he announces to his staff. It is crude, it is theatrical, it is perfectly Patton. When Churchill learns of it, he laughs. The pure warrior marks his territory. The race into Germany accelerates. 3rd Army covers more ground in March 1945 than any American force in history. By April, Patton is in Czechoslovakia, in Austria, deeper into German territory than any Allied commander. But the political decisions have already been made. The Russians will take Berlin. The Allies will halt at the Elbe. Patton's war ends not with a final victory, but with a halt order. He never forgives that, either. Section 11, Historical Verdict. The most feared name in the Allied order of battle. What did George S. Patton accomplish in the Second World War? The statistics speak for themselves. From August 1, 1944 to May 8, 1945, 281 days of combat. 3rd Army killed, wounded, or captured 1,486,000 enemy soldiers. 3rd Army liberated or captured 1,522 square miles of territory. 3rd Army lost 27,104 killed, the ratio of enemy to friendly casualties, 54-1. No American army in history has achieved a more favorable kill ratio. No army has moved faster, farther, or more devastatingly. Military historian Max Hastings wrote, "Patton was the most feared name in the Allied order of battle. The Germans planned their defenses based on where they believed he would attack. That is a remarkable tribute to his reputation." Martin Blumenson, Patton's biographer, he was an anachronism, a cavalryman in an age of industrial warfare, and yet his methods worked. Speed, aggression, relentless pursuit. These were not outdated concepts, they were eternal principles. Churchill, writing after the war, General Patton was not a comfortable man to have on one's side. He was theatrical, he was profane, he made political blunders that would have ended lesser careers. But when the battles came, he won them. That is the ultimate test of a soldier. Eisenhower in a private letter, "George was a problem, but he was our problem, and I would rather have had him with us than against us." And the Germans, Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, at Nuremberg, was asked which American general the German High Command feared most. His answer was immediate: Patton. He was the American Rommel, perhaps better than Rommel. Closing the pure warrior. December 21, 1945, London, England. Churchill sits in his study. The war is over. Germany is defeated. The world is changed. On his desk, a stack of condolence letters. One of them is for Jean Gordon, Patton's niece, who loved him and lost him. Churchill picks up his pen. He writes of Patton's courage, his drive, his singular contribution to victory. Then he stops, thinks, writes one more line. He was a pure warrior, and pure warriors are the rarest thing in war. The same words he had first spoken in December when the news came. Churchill seals the letter, sets down his pen. Outside, the rain still falls on London, the same rain that fell when the telegram came, the same rain that will fall for centuries on an England that is free because of men like George Patton. They will say many things about him, Churchill murmurs to himself. The profanity, the slapping, the political disasters. He picks up his whiskey, takes a long sip. But I will tell you what he was. He looks at the photograph on his desk. Patton in Africa, leather jacket, helmet with stars, pistols on his hips. He was the man who knew how to win, and in war, that is everything. Churchill raises his glass. To the pure warrior. The glass catches the gray London light. The rarest thing in war. NCREDITS. General George S. Patton, Jr., died on December 21, 1945, in Heidelberg, Germany, from injuries sustained in a car accident 12 days earlier. He was 60 years old. Winston Churchill lived until January 24, 1965. He remained a defender of Patton's legacy until his death, frequently citing him as the model of aggressive generalship. The relationship between these two men, the statesman and the warrior, represented something essential about the nature of victory in total war. Sometimes the most valuable soldier is the one who cannot be controlled, only directed. Patton's final resting place is in Luxembourg, among the soldiers of Third Army who fell in the Battle of the Bulge. His grave, by his own request, is identical to theirs. A pure warrior among his men. To the end.